cleft and prominent, who for years had been the principal of the soon-to-be demolished school. McQuede had started to turn away when a photo at the bottom caught his attention. Beneath the likeness of a brooding, dark-haired boy named Jerome Slade, someone long ago had neatly printed the words, "Never graduated." McQuede leaned closer, studying the face of a youth with longish hair and dark-browed, piercing eyes that put him in mind of the old film Rebel Without a Cause and its hero, James Dean. McQuede wondered if this Jerome had dropped out late, after the class pictures had already been taken, or if his grades had been too bad to allow him the benefit of a diploma. Whatever the case, instead of being left out, he had been included, but with this notation to set the record straight. It seemed sad now, this remark, like an epitaph. No matter what else he might have been or done, this penned announcement seemed to separate him from the others, pointing out this single failure for the world to all eternity. McQuede wondered briefly what had happened to him. Maybe he had run off to enlist. Maybe he had taken off for California prior to graduation, as the rebellious were known to do. But as he stood there, an eerie feeling gripped him, a sense of heaviness and sorrow that for no reason at all made him think this surly, unhappy-looking boy had found an early grave. Behind him, the back door of the museum rattled, jarring him from his gloomy thoughts. The high school principal, Everett Ganner, burst into the corridor, as if, more than 2 decades later, he had just materialized from his class photo. He wore a casual sports jacket and lugged a heavy box. His face still looked boyish, broad, and smiling, his thick brown hair always slightly ruffled. He laughed heartily. "What's our renowned sheriff doing in a peaceful place like this?" He drew to a stop. "Do you know where I can find Loris? I've bought some more items for the open house this evening." McQuede indicated the exhibit area. "How's the move going? Must be quite a job, changing over to that big consolidated school." "We'll be holding classes at the old place until the end of this week," Ganner said. Ganner passed him, and McQuede ambled closer to the main hall. Loris, near the stuffed bear, stood talking to Frederick Preston III. Preston, with his sharp-featured, intent face, hadn't changed much in the past 20-odd years, though he now sported a black, pencil-thin mustache, probably to distinguish him from his look-alike father. His grandfather had founded Preston Coal, and this spoiled grandson had always taken advantage of that fact. He stood very close to Loris. Preston, divorced, was probably looking for another wife, McQuede thought sourly. McQuede watched as Preston leaned even closer to Loris, as if to share some secret. They both began laughing. If McQuede had chosen to join them, the laughing would have abruptly stopped. McQuede knew the reason why, for his presence often brought with it reticence and even fear. McQuede had the same silvery eyes and rugged features of his namesake, his great-uncle, who had been one of the territory's most feared lawmen. Ev Ganner, who had been standing as silent as McQuede, now strode forward, eyes for no one but Loris, his loud voice booming across the room. His words were lost to McQuede, for a group of community-spirited helpers, dressed in sweatshirts and jeans, began streaming in through the main entrance. No chance of catching Loris alone now. McQuede had hesitated and lost. He had no desire to join the group, to make an attempt at idle chit-chat, or to compete for Loris's attention with Black Mountain's 2 most eligible bachelors. He was and would always be just a down-to-earth, rough-edged sheriff. She would probably have turned him down anyway. "Sheriff McQuede?" "Loris Connor." Her voice, so strained and serious, caught him off guard. His hand tightened on the phone. Embarrassment filled him as he wondered if she had noticed his hasty exit yesterday from the museum, or maybe Ev Ganner had mentioned running into him. He felt trapped, busted, like some criminal caught casing a joint. Was she going to demand some kind of explanation of why he had been lurking around the museum without even saying hello? How would he ever explain that the fearless sheriff of Cole County had wanted to ask her out on a date and had, at the last